Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Hello everybody, this is your teacher Ahlam Abu Juda. I hope you're doing great and you're getting ready for the exam next week. In this video we will be taking the second and third conditionals. By the end of this lesson, you are expected to recognize the structure of second and third conditionals and differentiate between them and know the uses for them, and then use the conditionals correctly in the sentences and paragraphs. First, the second conditional. The form when we form the second conditional, we need two clauses, as we mentioned before. We said that the if conditionals have two clauses: the if clause or the conditional clause, and the main clause or the result clause. The first part we have to put if plus subject plus verb to, simple past. So in the first part we have to put if plus simple past, then comma, don't forget the comma, which is so important here. And after the comma, the second clause, we have to put the subject plus would plus infinitive verb. So we have to focus here on this structure very well. We have simple past in the first part, and the second part we have would plus verb 1. And we mentioned that before. We can exchange between these clauses. We can put if in the middle of the sentence, not just at the beginning of the sentence. The most important thing that when you put if in the middle, you have to omit or delete the comma. The function, we use this type of conditional sentences or clauses to talk about the unlikely actions or the unreal actions. So here we talk about the unlikely or unreal actions in the present or in the future. So here we imagine that something happened, but it doesn't happen. It didn't happen. Okay? So we just imagine. We have imagination here. Okay? So it is an imaginary situations in the present or in the future. Look at this example. If I saved a lot of money, I would buy that mansion. I would buy that impressive house. So this is an imaginary, just as a type of imaginary. It's unlikely to happen or something which is unreal. Look at these examples. Example 1. If I taught this class, I wouldn't give tests. Simple past in the first part, and in the second part we have would plus not plus verb infinitive or infinitive verb. Okay, so here we have taught, simple past, verb 2 of teach, taught, the simple past of teach, and the second part we have to put would plus wouldn't if it is a negative form plus verb 1 or infinitive verb. Example 2. If the weather was nice yesterday, we would go on a picnic. If the weather was nice yesterday, we would go on a picnic. This is unlikely to happen, right? So here we have was, which is the verb 2 of be, and we have here would plus verb infinitive. Example 3. If I won the lottery, I would buy a villa. If I won the lottery, I would buy a villa. Also, this is a type of imagination. Notes. Here you have to focus very well on the note here. First, we can use if I were you. We use this expression, if I were you, to give advice. So for giving advice, you have to say if I were you, then complete your clause. So we usually use were for all persons in the second conditional sentences. So focus here very well. When we have second conditional sentence, we have to use if I were you to give advice, okay? You can say if I were you, if she were you, if he were you, if they were you, okay? With all persons, you have to use were. Don't use was here, okay? We use it as an expression to give advice for someone. Examples, if I were you, I would apologize. If I were you, I would apologize. If I were not in debt, I would quit my job. If he were taller, he'd be accepted into the team. So here, focus very well. If I were you, if I were not in debt, if he were taller. We use where in all these examples in the second conditionals. So don't use was with the second conditional, even if you have a singular person. Another note here, we can use a could or might in the main clause instead of would. For example, if you have a passport, you could go abroad on holiday. So here you can say you could, you would, you might, right? So with the second conditional, you can use could, might, or would in the second part or in the main clause of the sentence. Look at the second example here. We might go sightseeing if it stopped raining. We might go sightseeing. We could go sightseeing, or we would go sightseeing if it stopped raining. So don't forget this note. Here we have a task. Task number 1. Dear student, now after we discuss together the second conditional, you are expected to answer the following questions within 5 minutes. Please pause the video now. Think about these sentences, answer them, then come back again and watch the other parts of the video. Okay, let's do these sentences together after you have tried to do them alone to check your answers. So here the first one, if he worked more, he would finish in time. If he worked in more, he would finish in time. Here we have would plus verb 1, and in the first part or in the if clause part, we have simple past of work, which is worked. 2. They would do well on the test if they study more. So here we have would in the first part, which is the main clause, would plus verb 1, and in the second part after if we have to put simple past. What is the simple past of study? Yes, correct, it is studies. So here we have to put studies. Sorry, studied. Okay, so studied, yes, the simple past of study, studied. So here we have to put simple past, studied. 3, if I space, between the bracket we have the verb be, you, I would run for president. If I space you, I would run for president. So this remind you with which form? Okay, yes. Here we have to put, can we put was here? Can we use was for the simple past of be? Definitely not. Yes, we have to put where. Okay, so we have to use where with the second conditional to give an advice. If I were you, I would run for president. 4, Mary space buy a new jacket if she had enough money. Here we have if in the middle, and we have here simple past had, the simple past of have. So here what we have to put in this part, yes, we have to put would or could or might. Mary would buy a new jacket, or might. Let's write might. You can use might also. Might buy a jacket, right? We have to put indefinite verb. So Mary might or would or could buy a jacket if she had enough money. 5, if Jason flew to New York. If Jason flew to New York, flew, this is the verb 2 of fly. Here, he what? Space, visit the Empire State Building. So what we have to put here, what can we put in this space? Right, he would what? Visit. He would visit. Okay, what happened? Yes. He would visit the Empire State Building. Now, let's go to the last one. We, space, take a break if our boss weren't so nervous today. We, space, take a break if our boss weren't so nervous today. So here we have if. Sorry, we don't have here a comma. If our boss weren't so nervous. So if here in the middle, we don't put here a comma. If we put if in the middle, and here we have the simple past of be, which is weren't. It is negative form. And here we have to put what? Would take, right? Would, correct. Now, let's go to the next part, which is about the third conditional. Look at the form. If we want to form a third conditional sentence, we have to put if plus subject plus had plus verb 3, which is past perfect. Then comma. The comma is so important here in the middle, and then we have to put the subject and plus would plus have plus verb 3. Again, in the if clause part, you have to put if plus subject plus past perfect, which is had plus verb 3, and then comma. And in the main clause, you have to put subject plus would have plus verb 3. Very important, would have, yes. Now here also again you can use would have or could have or might have plus verb 3. The function, we use it to talk about the events or situations in the past. So here the story is different. In the second conditional, we use it to talk about the present or the future, but here we're talking about the past. So when we talk about the past, we talk about the actions or that we're talking about it are not are impossible to happen because it was in the past situations, so it didn't happen. So here we talk about regrets. When you regret about something, you use third conditional. Look at this. Look at these pictures or photos. So the first one, if I study, I will pass. This is the first conditional. If you remember, I will pass. So here she wants to get to study very well to pass the exam. So this is likely to happen. If she study well, she will pass in the exam. Okay, so let's go to the second picture here. If I studied, I would pass. She just imagined this. There's nothing happen here. If I studied, I would pass. So she imagined that she passed the exam, but nothing happened here. Look at this girl in the last picture here. If I had studied, I would have passed. Oh, she regrets. Look at her. She's regretting because she didn't study, so she didn't pass the exam. Okay, so she's talking about the past. Okay, already she had the exam and she didn't pass. She failed the exam. Okay, so don't do that. Like this girl, after the exam, you have to say, oh, if I had studied, I would have passed the exam. Okay, now let's go to these examples. If I had studied harder, I would have passed the exam. So I didn't study very hard or very well, and I didn't pass. So regrets, right? Another example, I wouldn't have gone to the library if my friend hadn't invited me. Here, she wanted to say, her friend invited her to the library, so she went. So she regrets because she went to the library. So she said, here you say, I wouldn't have gone to the library if my friend hadn't invited me. Okay, so example 1, look at these examples. We have 2 examples. If I had taken a taxi, I would have been there in time. So here I'm talking about the past. So I didn't take a taxi, so I didn't be on time. Okay, so I didn't take a taxi, so I wasn't or weren't on time. Let's go to the next example. If I had spoken English fluently, I would have got a better job. Also, she's talking about the past. This is impossible. Okay, so she didn't speak English. She didn't speak English well. Then so she didn't get a better job. Next, we have another task. Dear student, after we discuss together the third conditional, you are expected to answer these questions within 5 minutes. Please pause the video here again and try to think about these sentences, then come back to watch the video to check your answers. Okay, now let's check our answers together. Okay, correct the verb between brackets. If they had the time, they would have attended the meeting. Had. Here we have past perfect. We have had plus verb 3. The verb 3 of have is had. So we have here had. The second sentence. We space have a comfortable journey if we had booked first class. Here if it's in the middle of the sentence. Also, this is a third conditional sentence. We have had plus verb 3, and in this part we have to put what? Yes, would have. What is the verb 3 of have? Again, had. So we would have had, we might have had, we could have had. You can use one of these models: would, could, or might. The third sentence, if I space know his name, I would have said hello. Here, in the first part, in the if clause part, we have to put what? Yes, had plus the verb 3. So if I had none or known, if I had known his name, I would have said hello. I didn't know his name, so I didn't say hello to him. Here, for if the scuba diving space cheaper, Dad might have let us join in. So Dad might have plus verb 3. The verb 3 of let. So in the first part, again, we have to put had plus verb 3. What is the verb 3 of be? Right, it's correct. It's been. So if the scuba diving had been, yes, cheaper, Dad might have let us join in. So had been. The last sentence, if Mary space try again, she would have been successful. So in the second part here, in the mini clause, would have plus verb 3 been. So in the first part, we have to put what? Had plus verb 3. So had tried. Okay. Focus here. When we put the verb 3 of try, we delete y and put ied. Okay. Now, this is all what we have for today. And you have another task. Task 3 for you. You are expected, my beloved student, now to write a short paragraph of 30 to 50 words using second and third conditionals about any topic you prefer. Please, after you finish, try to send it to me on the message on WhatsApp. And this is all what we have for today. Thanks a lot for your great listening. If you have any questions, any queries, don't hesitate to ask me, or the boys ask your teacher, Mr. Murad. We welcome all the questions all the time, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.